Through a mixture of observational and expository modes, a story of a man who has chosen to live the rest of his life on Royal Caribbean cruises in a cinematic, isolated style, you have The Happiest Guy in the World by Lance Oppenheim. Oppenheim's short documentary follows the everyday life of Mario Salgado, a former businessman who in 1997 packed his bags after nearly 21 years of non-stop work, and how he quietly disappeared from the lives of his friends and family to pursue a new life on the open water. The observational and expository modes of the happiest guy in the world is a constant in Lance Oppenheim's documentaries. Examples such as After Hours, Quicksand, and Long-Term Parking have shown similar traits of that in the happiest guy in the world. Documentaries with an expository style of a highly edited, composed, interview-driven storyline with the use of handheld, event-driven moments. To summarize, we look into the world of our character as they explain the reasoning why they're there in this situation, giving another perspective to the audience. This is mostly shown through the content about being content. And here's what I mean by that. When following the life of Mario Salgado, through voiceover, he tells us how he doesn't like being in a group dynamic, following that he is the happiest guy in the world being totally alone. This is all set up, however, with a musical cue of drums slowly starting off, increasing with a subtle rise in tempo, as a shot of a busy ferry passing by, with the climax of him being alone at a table, sipping a cocktail, with the only noise being cruise ambience. This is not only showing This is not only showing his style, but also showing how a combination of an expository and observational mode can come together to create such a moment. These elements are a common through line in Oppenheim's portfolio, with documentaries such as Long-Term Parking, which features the lives of three people who live in a Los Angeles trailer park designed for those who work in the aviation industry. Like The Happiest Guy in the World, this documentary brings forward a similar concept, in that of people who live contently, contributing another viewpoint in the definition of freedom. A quote that hits the point home comes from an air serviceman in Long-Term Parking. If a person sits in this lot and they're lonely, it's because they're deciding to be lonely. Looking at loneliness as being a state of mind rather than a feeling we can't control. We can't control. What Oppenheim brings to these documentaries is an emotional tug that pulls on the modern day audience, which makes sense with the fact that Oppenheim is 22 years of age. In a modern world that's constantly changing and being updated by the day, Oppenheim's style brings something to a majority of his demographic. The more mature viewers see the tales as those who are content, living their best lives with an understanding of the lifestyle, whereas the more modern viewer would see this as a possible nightmare, being stuck somewhere for a long part of their foreseeable future or forever. This mode of thinking is, if anything, showcased in the logline being, what kind of person takes a cruise not for a week or a month, but for the rest of his life? This is where the questioning of his lifestyle comes in, intriguing the viewer through Oppenheim's use of an expository and observational format. By showing Mario live his day-to-day life through an observational lens and having him explain how he considers himself to be the happiest man in the world, it exposes and opens up the viewer to naturally question the claim if they don't particularly subscribe to why someone would live his lifestyle. A moment where this is highlighted is when Salgado is conversing with fellow cruisers, saying that he's exhausted his goals in life and that all he has to look forward to nowadays is the new ships, reassuring it's an okay lifestyle to live. And in that moment, through an observational lens, we see the reaction of outsiders to what he considers the happiest life to live. To conclude, this is how the relationship between mode, style, and content all mix together in Oppenheim's short documentary. Through his experience of studying and documenting similar subjects in After Hours and Long-Term Parking, the style of Oppenheim complements the repetitive and routine nature of Sarkato's life, looking through the appropriate modes, providing us with the final form of an introspective and outer look of the happiest guy in the world. Thank you.